This is Germantown Community Radio, 92.9 FM, WGGT LP Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com.
This is Germantown Community Radio, 92.9 FM, WGGT LP Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com.
Hello, my name is Meredith Marshall, and I'm a proud member of the Nanticoke Lenni Lenape Tribal Nation of New Jersey. Today we are broadcasting live from Germantown, which was once known as Nittabankak, a village within Lenapehoking, the ancestral homeland of the Lenni Lenape people. For thousands of years, our ancestors thrived here, living in harmony with the land along the Delaware and the Schuylkill rivers. This land is more than a place. It is a sacred connection woven deeply into who we are as a people. It carries the stories of our ancestors, their resilience, wisdom, and spirit. Let us take a moment to honor the truth of this history. The Lenni Lenape people have faced immense challenges, displacement, erasure, and loss. But through it all, we have endured. We are still here, not as echoes of the past, but as living proof of survival, carrying forward our culture, traditions, and stories. Acknowledging this land means recognizing the fullness of its history, the richness of its presence, and the responsibility we all share for its future. To truly honor Lenapehoking is to support Indigenous sovereignty, celebrating our living cultures and actively working towards healing the injustices of the past and present. This is an invitation for all of us to walk together on a path of reconciliation, to nurture this land and to create a future where Indigenous voices are heard, respected, and celebrated. Wanishi. Thank you for listening and for being a part of this journey towards truth and healing.
Peace, peace, peace. What's going on? And welcome to the Save Our Ancestors Indigenous Radio. I am Tavis Sanders. I'd like to welcome our host and co-host, Meredith, also known as She Who Seeks Knowledge.
I just hit myself in the face with the mic.
Yeah, they got to be close, don't they? So what's going on?
This weather stinks. It's cold. Cold.
Yeah, well, if you're in the Northeast, chime in and let us know how y'all feeling. What you think about those single digits we're about to get?
I don't like any of it. I don't like the cold. I don't like the snow. I don't like, man, I'm a winter hater. I'm a spring and summer girl.
Wait a minute, ain't you a winter baby?
I'm a fall baby.
Oh, okay.
I'm a fall baby.
Is your birthday after Thanksgiving?
It depends. It's on or around.
Okay. But you still consider yourself a fall baby.
That's fall. It's November.
Okay. So you're not ready for the single digits?
No, not at all.
Up here in the Northeast, right? I think it's going down way down south too. And so I need everybody to check on your elders for sure, right? We want to make sure we check on our elders.
And your pets.
You want to bring in anybody that we can, that's out there in the streets. Try to, give a little bit of push. Why don't you go inside today? There's plenty of places around the city.
It's a polar vortex that is coming extremely low. And then maybe, if I'm not mistaken, two joining together. And that's why it's so significant. So, what you gonna do?
Yeah, well, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna bundle up. We're gonna stay warm. Again, take care of our elders, check on the children, check on your pets, and make sure our homeless are okay, right? We want to do our best to try to get them inside in a nice, warm environment. But we do have a nice, warm show for them today, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
So today's theme is healing through culture and collective action.
It's a nice one. We got a really great interview, right? A lot of information being shared, and I definitely appreciate indigenous peoples, right? Native Americans from across this continent, up north and south, you know,
And around the world.
yeah, coming through, you know what I mean, sharing their history, sharing their perspective, right? Sharing their work, which is really important, right?
Absolutely.
And definitely want our community to know that these organizations, these individuals are available for us, and they're offering us services that are indigenous based, right? And that we want to support that, and we want to show them support. And so I hope that everybody definitely continues to not just check us out, but then also check out, you know what I mean, some of the people and some of the guests that we have and what they have to offer. It's not just a one time thing, right?
Right.
You know, they got events, we got books, you know what I mean? I know you participated in the event last weekend, was it?
Yeah. So with our guest, Mila, she had a healing medicine circle, and we made some medicine to send to North Carolina
Okay.
for the hurricane victims. So I'm really excited to talk about that. And today's current events also kind of just wraps into us taking care of the earth. Mila's company is called Center of Mother Earth.
Okay.
And I just thought it was a really great topic to kind of, ooh, it fell.
But that, get that mic up.
Technical
Get that mic up.
difficulties.
Yes. Well, you know, we're going to learn all about her and her organization, and even some of the things that they have available, and her organization has available coming up this year,
Right.
you know, some of the spaces and places. But let's talk about some current events. What's going on around the world today as far as indigenous peoples is concerned?
Right. You got the article.
Yeah, you going to make me read it, huh?
Here's your turn.
Okay, I ain't got my glasses on and nothing, right? Code read, y'all. Code read.
You got it.
Okay, so cool. In May 2024, Indigenous representatives embarked on a ceremonial relay run from Alaska to Panjin,
Patagonia.
Patagonia. I'm mad that I didn't know that, right? Covering up to 10,000 miles in over 7 months. Known as the Peace and Dignity Journey, this intercontinental run occurs every 4 years since 1992, aiming to honor ancestral wisdom, restore balance with Mother Earth, and strengthen indigenous identity. All about that right there, right? For the first time, the two routes covered in Slovenia, Colombia. I'm sorry, converged in Slovenia, Colombia on November 29th, 2024, right? So from May to November, they was on
covered
this,
it.
right? That's dedication right there. Bringing together sacred staffs from nearly 200 native nations. The journey concluded with a 4-day gathering at the nation's Indigenous Organization of Colombia, ONIC, uniting global indigenous leaders to call for unity, spiritual regeneration, land rights, water protection, and community empowerment.
Yes.
That's hot right there.
That's so hot. I'm here for all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I,
No, go ahead.
I was just saying I love when indigenous peoples come together, because there's way more similarities between us than differences. And the sooner we realize that, have that collective action, to make our voice louder and, have a broader audience here to hear what we're saying. So we need more of that.
Yeah. I also think that as a collective, we have to redefine what success means. You know, we're using standards that have been in place by our colonizer, on what success is, right? And too often success is measured by your
money.
Period, right? And recognizing that as an indigenous peoples, I don't care where you from, that wasn't what gave us substance and value. We had value within how we treated each other, how we treated ourselves, our children, the community, the environment, and what we could offer to develop in our community. And those things, money ain't all that right there, right?
Well, I think it was also the connection to spirit. I feel like we disconnected so far, from spirit and nature that everything is technology. You know, our kids know how to use
Mm-hmm.
tablets and iPhones and email and any type of game by like 2-3 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
like if you look at younger kids now, they don't even know how to play outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they sit down and they all are, you know, in their phones. They don't even, you know, just
Well, you
playing
know what?
tag and little basic games. They be like, huh?
Yeah.
Or they come back and they be like, I'm bored. Like, what you mean?
You better go find something to do, right? Yeah. Listen, but you know what? And then it's got to be individuals that continue to step up, like our guest, right? That's going to use uh, what we have today, like community radio,
Yes.
right? And shout out to Germantown Community Radio for offering us this platform, right? To push tech work, right? Traditional ecological knowledge, excuse me. And then for the audience and for our listeners to, you know, see what matters to them, right? Is this engaging? Does this have value to you? And then offer that back too, right? Because we got to support each other, right? And so,
Take a little break.
I'm gonna take a break before we get into our guest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Play a little music. What you want?
Oh man. Okay. What are we playing today?
Did y'all put my song on yet?
What song? What's
the
your
Hiatus
song?
Coyote.
We did not throw on the hiatus coyote. Yeah. You know what? I got you next time. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you know what? So for everybody, if they don't know, that our co-host is like a huge Prince fan, right? And so I'm gonna put some Prince on for you, and then you know when we get back, we'll get to our guests. And so we'll be right back with more Save Our Ancestors Indigenous Radio on Germantown Community Radio. That's 92.9 FM WGGT-LP Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com. Cool, right?
Yes. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and throw an interview on, and for those that are listening to us online, you know, check us out in the chat, and y'all can ask us some questions about the interview, get some information, and we'll be right back.
Great day, and thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Save Our Ancestors Indigenous Radio, and in this portion, we are going to have our guest for today's show. So I'm going to let my co-host, she who seeks knowledge, share a little bit of wisdom with us, introduce our guest, and we'll take it from there.
Yes. Hey, everybody. So today's show, once again, is Healing Through Culture and traditional plant medicine. Also, how reconnecting with traditions helps Indigenous youth and families. So today we have our wonderful guest, Mila. Tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and again, we're so happy to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here to talk to you today. Thank you so much to both of you for having me on the show. Thank you for everybody who is listening. And well, thank you to my family, first of all, to give me life. And I am Kaingangi. My full name is Camila Carolina Romero dos Santos. And I always want to say thank you to my mother and my father, right? Because they gave me life, and all of my grandmothers, my grandfathers that came before, who taught me everything that I know, firsthand or through dreams or through other relatives. I think that's important to mention because we all come from different walks of life when it comes to remembering and having a full connection with culture, and especially when we're away from our territory, from our lands, our traditional lands, which is the case of my family. And so I come from...
Yeah, where do you come from?
So I come from the southernmost point of the Atlantic forest. So it's from South America, what now it's called Brazil. And I think it's important to say that there were Brazil has over 300 ethnicities, different indigenous ethnicities, speaking over 300 different languages. And so a lot of the times people think that, right, all indigenous people in Brazil are all the same, just like, but
Yeah, just like
as
here.
here, right, as here we have so many different nations. We also have different nations. And in southern Atlantic forest, the peoples are the Kaingangi, or my people, the Shoklain people. My daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, she's Kaingangi Shoklain on her father's side, her grandmother. And also the Guarani people. This is the southernmost point of the Atlantic forest. There's other ethnicities throughout the Atlantic forest because it goes all the way to middle of the country. And then the Amazon has so many other ethnicities as well, and other biomes, right? Because Brazil has 6 different biomes. And our forest is covered by ancient trees, and the one that I always pay respects to, that I always pay respects to, and that I want to bring into this conversation as well, is the Araucaria tree. That is our mother tree, the mother tree of the Atlantic forest, and she's incredibly important for this ecosystem, not just the other plants, but also the animals, the birds that plant the seeds, and for our people in terms of remembrance, right? Memory, ancestral memory, because our people used to leave our markings on the trunks of the trees, and also that energetic spiritual memory that we carry through this sacred spirit. And the fruits of this tree, which are actually the seeds, are food for our people, right? So we process these seeds once they fall to the ground into what we call piña. So it's a very big concentration of seeds, and we break them apart and we eat them in different ways. And so I always bring this tree because she's my mother. She's my grandmother, right? She carries, embodies all of the wisdom that I received from my family. And to see a little bit about what I do, I grew up making medicine with my family. My father had these 3 books that I'm never going to forget, which were probably the first books he ever had in terms of like in the house. And these were plant books that he received as a gift from friends. But he would always say, you can read these books. I've read these books so many different times. But when I make the medicine, when I sit with these plants, and when I remember what your grandmother used to do, it's really when I learn. And so that's how I learned as well. By being around him, being around my mom, my elders, aunties, and uncles that were still cultivating plants that my grandmother planted, like a big rose bush and aloe and sage and all of these beautiful plants that have been such an important part of our culture and our identity. My father's generation is the first generation to migrate to the city. And so we see my family, so many different people choosing different professions now and different walks of life, right? And so I stuck with art and medicine making. And so I became a theater artist, studied theater arts and also holistic studies. And I am a holistic massage therapist. But nowadays, I embody all of these traits from, the artist side of it to the plant medicine making and to the massages that I learned in school that sent me back all the way to my childhood into the massages that my mom used to do for us, that my aunties taught me. And so I was able to embody all of this traditional work. And because I was a baby who was born taking baths and cleansing my body with these plants, and I would always, every time I do work, I always remember my grandmother holding this little bundle of rue, arruda, which is a very important plant for us in terms of cleansing, energetic cleansing. So she would dip it in the water and cleanses. And so I nowadays I offer traditional healing to folks in a session where we can use all of these elements to guide us into creating not just holding space, but I think creating new space within our physical bodies, our mind, our heart, and our spirit to fully begin to understand. So if there are any imbalances in the body, where are they coming from? Where is the root, and how we can go about healing them? And so then the baths, right? Being able to offer the baths and to offer the steaming, both nasal steaming and vaginal steaming, womb steaming in general, because this goes for all people, right? With a uterus or not. So we can create these spaces, right, to use these medicines. And so in the traditional healing sessions, we're able to do that. And then in the circles, I also have been doing circles since 2016 in Philadelphia and online as well, which opens the space for people from all over the globe to join us. To be able to talk about traditional healing, to do this inner work of understanding what we're healing, because most of the time we're healing wounds that come from generations behind us, right? And in our culture, we believe in past lives. And these past lives doesn't necessarily have to be just my spirit living past lives. It's the past lives of my ancestors. So that's how we understand this baggage of cultural and generational trauma, right? And so the Healing Talk Circles open space for that healing. And I created this series of Indigenous, it's called Indigenous Phytotherapy series, The Plants That Heal. And it pretty much entails different talk circles where people can come and who use these practices to heal ourselves in a deeper level. And also workshops where we can all learn how to make these medicines together, right? So the steaming, the plant bathing, the massage oils, the tinctures, the oral medicines that we take as well. And in different forms, with different forms we can work with the plants. And also doing plant meditation, plant walks, because this series happened in 2023 at Bartram's Garden, and we're doing it again this year there. And so we're also outside. Well, we're always in nature because we are nature, but we're outside with the trees, with the plants, to be able to receive all of the messages that we're to receive, and also to feel home, to feel welcome, to feel loved and taken care of in a space to do this healing. And
you know then, what? I want to just jump in right here and just say thank you. You gave us and our audience a whole lot, to take in with respects to, not just who you are and what drives you, but, where you come from and what's happening there and what you're, trying to offer to the community. And I just wanted to jump in real quick because I think we had one of those circles that you're talking about yesterday or earlier this week, right? And our co-host was there, and so I wanted to jump in and see if she might be able to add a little bit to the mix.
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
Yes. So on Saturday, Mila had a wonderful medicine circle, and we made medicines for the hurricane survivors in South or North Carolina.
Yes, west to North Carolina.
Okay, good. I couldn't remember which one. I actually have it right here. And oh my goodness, I've been smelling it. It smells so good. So it just felt really nice to have that sisterhood in a circle and connect with everyone. And Mila shared her wonderful knowledge with us. I just felt very honored to be a part of the circle.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, I know that you said that you are based here in Philadelphia, and that you are definitely, you're running these programs. And so please share, your organization and ways that they may be able to connect with you online or in person. You know, you said that you were working with Bartram Gardens here in Philadelphia. So please share a little bit of the programs, but specifically the name of your organization and definitely how people can get in contact with you.
So in around the time of 2016, when I started to do the circles, is when I started to really embody the mission and the vision, which came in an actual vision for me when I was doing some meditation work in 2015. And this vision was very specific because I was in a moment of my life between theater jobs that I wanted to go back to school. And this vision showed me that the path that I needed to go on was body work, was right embodying really this piece of traditional healing, massage, and to work in holistic healing. So I started do Centro da Mãe Terra, which in English the translation means from the center of Mother Earth. And this organization is a community organization. It's a healing center, and it's itinerant. So it travels with me wherever I go, and also there's work being done in Brazil. And the goal, the mission of this organization is to really, it's cultural preservation in remembrance of our traditional healing practices in terms of different indigenous practices that we used to practice in my family, in my lineage. But these are global practices because so many different cultures embody the same practices in terms of healing. Nowadays, we use them as prevention, right? Prevention from different pathologies. And also, it's the base for the beginning steps in our lives because this is all traditional healing used postpartum. And so this organization also aims to put postpartum people, postpartum families at the center with BIPOC folks to really bring back our self-autonomy of healing, to become sovereign, not just with the land, right, where we live, because we're able to do that even though we might be displaced from our traditional territories, or we might be living in a big city like Philadelphia. But we're able to collectively be sovereign and have this healing autonomy. So that's really what the vision of this healing center, this community center to continue to expand. And so these partnerships with Bartram's Garden, for example, is so important because they have, Bartram's Garden is this epicenter of nature here in Southwest Philadelphia, where we see that this is an area that it's an industrial area, right? So we even have like that old industrial plant right next to Bartram's. And what does that do to our environment? It pollutes, right? Our water has been contaminated by leftover of these plants in Philadelphia. And then, of course, like if we expand from outside of Southwest Philadelphia, right? The gentrification and the continuation of colonization, it has a spread to loss of green space, loss of cultural identity, and loss of healing autonomy, right? Where nowadays our communities here face a lot of those challenges.
Yeah, you're talking that tech work.
Yes, that's the ongoing battle, battling the colonization and the colonialism that we deal with in our city. I just want to ask you a question too with what you do. I know you do baby massage and a lot of healing and body work. So how do you think that helps Indigenous youth and families thrive, like kind of putting that tradition back into the young ones and teaching them our old ways, and trying to keep them current?
So one of the things that always comes to me when I talk to birthing families is what my grandmother used to say, what a lot of people are familiar with, is that what we experience, right, in the first 40 days of our lives affects the first 40 years. And this goes, then of course it grows into the first 2 years, the first 4 years, right? Like what kind of experiences we have. And so the first 40 days specifically in the first 3 months, because when we go towards birth, right, as a birthing person, at birth, this is a moment we are the most open in our entire lives, right? That being spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, to receive a new life. And in our culture, a person who's birthing, the birth ceremony, the birth portal, is where we meet face to face right there with life and death. And we, as birthing people, our spirits go up to the ether to pick up our spirit, the birth, the baby spirit. And so during birth, this portal stays open. And so in our culture, we have this understanding. It isn't a belief, and I always remember that as well, because I have one of my teachers who says, if you have to believe in it, then you don't understand. So because these practices, or the existence of spirit, of great spirit in our culture, it isn't something that it's out of reach, right? It's something that we understand, that we embody, that we can tangibly touch. And so this type of work during that phase helps the birthing person and the family, because this is a transition that happens for the whole family. Doesn't matter what the family looks like, right? Because it expands into grandparents, into uncles, aunties, everybody. I think I mentioned to Meredith on Saturday that during the second birth of my child, which happens as well in the first one, but a little bit different, and definitely in a stronger magnitude with my second birth, there was a whole entire circle of over 20 people praying around us, not physically here, but around us while the birth was happening. And so that's really, in our communities, everybody comes together to welcome a new life. And so the work that we do during the pregnancy, at birth, and the preparation for birth is incredibly important, but the postpartum time is the most important time, and the time that we're most vulnerable, because again, we were the most open at birth. And so the work that we do with these traditional practices, we call it cuarentena, the first 40 days. So it's a sacred ceremony. The whole 40 days is considered ceremony, where we work to close the body, to bring balance back, to bring the spirit fully back to the body, because the spirit went up to pick up the baby spirit. And so we need to fully come back in balance. What happens nowadays, because of so many different things that we have to go through, or either going back to work too soon, or that really very toxic mentality of the society nowadays, of like the bounce back, right? Either bounce back emotionally or physically. I mean, there are hormones in our bodies. They're still adjusting after 6 months, after a whole year, after 2 years postpartum. And if you have already had multiples, that, right, it's times 2, times 3, and keeps going. And so this work helps us to come back to balance, close the body. For the baby, what does that do? Hey, baby, here, let me love you. Let me touch you. Let you, allow ourselves to show the baby how much we love them, not just by, right, the holding and the breast, the body feeding, or the putting to sleep, but in terms of physical body into breaking down, right? Like we break down to all of the single molecules in our bodies that we relate to the plants. And so if we're bathing the baby in the plants, and if we're massaging the baby with the plants, that is also a communion that needs to happen, because then we're made of the same stuff. And so if we are introduced to that since the very first days, we're going to have a more balanced life in general. And so there's the difference of, a lot of people will say, "Oh, but your baby is so happy, And I have so many different teachers who come say, well, it's because you were happy throughout your pregnancy and because she received all of this traditional healing in the first couple of days of her life. So no, now this baby is calm and at peace. And it happens in different ways. We can give this healing to kids who are growing up. My 4-year-old loves to receive baths and massages. And so what that also does is introduces these practices to them, teaches them from a very young age, because that's how it used to be. In my family, we didn't have a break in my lineage where these practices didn't happen. It happened to my parents. It happened to my grandparents. And so I choose to keep going. My brother also does. But then there's so many other family members, my cousins, for example, nowadays that don't practice these traditions anymore. So it also brings the children a responsibility, which is our actual collective responsibility of continuing these practices, right?
Yes.
So our culture won't die, so our traditions won't die.
And that's what being Indigenous is.
Right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I love the connection. Now, on Saturday, we talked about your birth. And on here, we talk about ceremonial freedom a lot, being an Indigenous person. And I know you weren't allowed to have the birth that you wanted to have. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, how PA doesn't have any recognized tribes. You're not allowed to even have your baby the way you want to have it as an Indigenous person that follows your traditions. So I thought that would be a good topic to kind of touch on a little bit.
Yes, I think it's really important for us to understand how the system works, right? What laws are in place, and this varies from state to state, right? What laws are in place and what kind of support is in place for us to be able to have the type of birth we want, right? I'm going to backtrack even to my first birth. It was pandemic time. And so I wanted to have a home birth. And the people that I lived with at the time, they were welcoming for me to have a home birth as well. But what I didn't have at the time was enough support, right? Their support was incredibly important, and it was really sacred for me to be able to live with these friends at the time. But I felt the need of having a midwife with me. And I couldn't afford to have a midwife with me at the time. And the health insurance doesn't cover for a home birth in the state of Pennsylvania. It does in New York and a couple different states, but not in PA. And so what I ended up choosing was to have her in a birth center, which was, okay, then I would be able to have, let's say, a vaginal delivery, because a lot of people say, oh, natural birth, all births are natural. There's nothing unnatural about birth, even if it's a C-section. All births are natural, so let's just demystify that first. But I wanted to have what was similar to what my mom had, what my grandmother had, which was a vaginal delivery without any medication, right? Pharmaceutical medication, but with the plants. And so I was able to have a little bit of that, right? I took a plant bathing at home when I started labor, and I took the teas, and I was able to bring the teas with me, to bring ointments with me that my doula helped me and guided me. And so at that time, because of my situation, the birth center felt a safer option. But for my second baby, I was in a place where we're out of pandemic now. I have a bigger home in terms of, this is the place where I am renting. So I was able to call my mom to be here, to call my doula who was with me at my first birth as well, Elizabeth Weinstein. She is incredible birth worker in Philadelphia, and I always mention her name when I talk about my births, because she was my pillar. She was one of the most strongest support systems that I had during both my pregnancies, birth and postpartum. And that is really what we need to go for when we're giving birth, it isn't about the number, but it's about the quality of the people that we want to have in the space that we feel safe with. And another thing for me, the important part was to have people that had been with me throughout that journey, through that pregnancy, and not, for example, what happened in my first birth. The nurse that was with me at the day of birth, she was very lovely, but I had never seen her before. And this is a very, very delicate, very vulnerable, very open time of our lives. And in our culture, birth is a ceremony. And so the work that I do, that's why it's bringing birth back as a ceremony. And that's what I did with my second baby. I said, well, I've been working X amount of years now to help and guide all of these people to do this work. So how can I do it? And so I called community. I called onto community. And so I had multiple people that we were able to go aside from what I couldn't do, right, in my first birth and doing the second birth. But still, I didn't feel the need, because I had people here like my mother that have been in the presence of many births before, who is a nurse back home in Brazil. Also Elizabeth, also another doula who's one of my apprentices, Bruna, who has been also at the forefront of this work with me for the last couple of years, both assisting me to do traditional healing work and also with the plant medicines and so many other things that the center does. And so they were here with me as well. And I wanted to have a midwife, but I also wanted to really trust my instincts, really trust the understanding that I embody about birth, about myself as well, about my physiology and what I could do and how my first birth had been. So embody those experiences and understand that, well, I am yet again facing I cannot afford a midwife. And the state will not pay for it, but the state also frowns upon me having a birth unassisted. And so going through these, right, let's say impositions, I was able to find somebody from a referral, also from my doula, Samantha Magpion. She's a wonderful midwife here in PA. And so we did a trade in order to receive the care that I needed and that I wanted prenatal and then during the birth. But we had one agreement, was that if Sam had another birth, she didn't have a backup for me. And so we're like, okay, maybe if she has another birth, then she might not be able to come. And I was at peace with that. I was happy with that, because I kept telling her, I want you there. I want my mom there. I want Elizabeth there. But to no disrespect to any birth worker, and I think they will all understand when I say this, the person who's birthing is me. And the support there is incredibly important and incredibly sacred. But the physiological process of getting this baby out of myself, I will be the one to do it, right? And so because I had already done it with my first baby, it was very important to me to be able to allow myself to go through the end of that birth cycle, to have that full birth ceremony again, in the ways of my people, in the ways that my grandmother had her babies. And she was supported, she had family there, but she was the one who contracted those babies out. And then immediately she was held and received that support. And so what ended up happening was Sam did have another birth, which ended up just being false labor. But we laugh at it till this day, because she said, you had the birth that you wanted, exactly how you wanted. And I even told Meredith that what happened was everybody was here. And once I said, the baby's coming, and I think like everybody was focused for a split second at other things in the birth room with me, that once the baby was really born, like when she came out, nobody saw it. I was the only person who saw it. And it, like at that time, I remember being in a river, and then she was born in the water with the plants and with the plant bathing that we had prepared. And she was born in the water, and I felt I was in that river. And my grandmothers, I have many stories in my family of my grandmothers who birthed close to a body of water, and then they were immediately held, and so, or at home with the assistance of water. And so it felt incredibly liberating. It felt like a moment where I needed that healing. My first child needed that healing. My mother needed that healing. And so I know that it's also healing all of the past generations that were not able and were not allowed to have the birth ceremony that they needed to have and that they wanted to have.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap it up here because we're running out of time. And so how can people get in contact with you if they're interested in supporting you, the org, or participating in some of your programs?
Yes, so we have an Instagram page. It's spelled Do Centro da Mãe Terra. So DOCENTRODAMAETERRA. It's a very long name, but if you look up Do Centro da Mãe Terra, that's a way that you can follow the projects that we're doing. We'll be sending out information. We also have the same email with the same name, docentrodamãeterra@gmail.com. And you can reach out to us by email or through the Instagram, or I will also leave another email that might be easier for people to write. It's Mila Romero.aro@gmail.com. And I am available now for traditional healing postpartum, for traditional healing sessions. And I do want to invite everybody to come to our traditional healing community clinics. I am so honored, so happy, so excited to be doing this project with Bartram's. It's a different project than the Indigenous phytotherapy series I mentioned. This is the project where we are starting to make medicines for. So we have 3 more medicine making circles, one this month, one in February, and one in January. To make medicines for the traditional healing community clinics. These clinics will be at Bartram's Garden, so I couldn't do it without their support, without Shauna Mitchell, who is my incredible, incredible friend, who heads the Culture and Arts program at Bartram's Garden. And also with the support of the Leeway Foundation through the Art and Change grant. I am one of the grantees of the 2024 grant, and I'm so incredibly happy to be able to receive this community support to do this project. And the traditional healing community clinics will be different gatherings where we'll have different circles to be able to offer traditional healing for folks, and everybody's going to be able to walk home with a care package with some herbal medicines that we'll be preparing, smudge bundles, ointments, also the plant bathing that we made on Saturday. I got it all bottled to send them to North Carolina to our sisters there, and also for the clinics. So I'm very, very excited about this project, and I hope to see you so there.
Yep, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. We've been listening to the Save Our Ancestors Indigenous Radio. We'd like to thank our guest. We'd like to thank our co-host, and you'll be able to find more information. Just email us, or you can look underneath the tag. Thank you very much, and everybody have a great day.
You're listening to Germantown Community Radio, 92.9 FM, WGGT-LP, Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com. So welcome back, everybody. I hope y'all enjoyed the interview with Mila.
Yeah, a lot of information, like I said, and not just the information, but she's doing things, right? And so a lot of ways for the community to engage,
right?
And just some of the things that we were talking about while the interview was playing is her willingness to teach. I think that's really important because some of us have lost that connection and are really trying to gain that. And so it's really important for indigenous peoples to open themselves up and to teach other indigenous peoples that have lost that opportunity.
Absolutely. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, please try to make her workshops. They will be at Bartram Gardens And I believe there's 3 coming up. It's one once a month. So one in February, one in March,
And
one in April.
go.
Yes. And it's just, it's a great way to get out and just have a connection, practice some ancestral practices, and just take time, you know, to be a part of community, meet some new people that you have a shared interest with, and just, the weather's going to be getting nice, and I just think it's a great thing to come out. We'll be having our fire circles again soon when the weather breaks. So, yeah, I'm excited for the
Yeah,
nice weather to come.
we up in we and we're broadcasting in Germantown, right? And
Right.
so we are a little bit farther away from Bartram Gardens. So if you're up in G Town and you never heard of Bartram Gardens, some people be like Bartram Gardens. That's down in Southwest,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a nice green space that's available for free.
Yeah, right on the river.
Yeah, so go ahead down there and check it out. Google them online if y'all interested in learning more about them and some of the services that they have to offer, right?
Right. And in the spring and summer, they have beautiful plants and trees. They also have plant sales, if I'm not mistaken, in the summer, in spring and summer. You can get native plants, like native to this area. So they're very good for the pollinators. They make our bees happy to have native plants to the area. It's very good for the environment.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. What we got that group that always got the pawpaw trees. We got to
the Schuylkill
alliances or
something like
that.
I was just thinking I wanted to reach out to the Friends of Wissahickon.
Okay. Yeah. So start bringing in
because Wissahickon is our family.
Yeah,
we're more than friends.
Yeah. So we got a few more minutes left. We got anything else that we need to take care of?
Yeah. So next month on February 8th, we have the Indigenous Education free event at the main branch of the Philadelphia Public Library. You want to talk about that a little bit, Tavis?
Yeah, that's Forgotten Histories.
Okay.
Just about the omitted histories of brown and darker skinned Native Americans of the continent and how that history was, lost, and the interconnectedness between all of the BIPOC communities and really just peoples in general, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna acknowledge that, one of my grandfathers was a white man that was the president of the United States. And so, I'm acknowledging him too. I'm gonna deny that, right? I would rather him have done more for us as a Native community, but maybe I'll be president one day. Maybe I can help.
Right. And then just coming up, so on February 7th, we will have Kiana Perry of Goddess Furs and Illuminated Hearts Home Health Care. And she's going to talk about having indigenous business, registering your business as an indigenous, like officially as an indigenous business, and just give us some tips about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And then on February the 21st, we have a rapper from the Shinnecock Nation, King Charles. So we got some nice people coming up. So stay tuned. Look for our ads and our little commercials. We trying, y'all. So come on and support us. We're gonna got some good shows coming up for you.
Yeah, we're gonna have Mama Claudette come on soon too, right? We got to get her on here. You know what I mean? And well, we want to just spread that information, right? Give everybody opportunity to share their history.
Well, both of them. So Claudette from Shinnecock Nation.
Oh, both of them. Okay.
And
then
we got Claudia.
Yeah. Oh, we got to get
Auntie Claudia Hadid will be on here soon.
Yeah.
Maybe even like the 7th. We'll have her on too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we got some really good shows coming up, right?
Yes.
And we are expanding our reach, and so if you're not able to listen to us directly on Germantown Radio, then you can check us out online, right, on gtownradio.com. Check us out on our webpage or on our YouTube channel, Indigenous Education, and just wanting more Indigenous communities to become aware of this and not just participate in what we're doing, but also take a look at opening up this area and utilizing platforms where they're from to start to share Indigenous communities in that area. Community radio definitely matters, people. And so definitely please support your local community radio station. You want to finish it off with some nice tunes?
Yeah, well, I think we're going to play Green Tea.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's listening online. It matters. We actually can see you, so you matter very much.
Yes, we got a listener from Australia in our chat.
In our chat. Okay, yeah,
Yes.
definitely like to say thank
Thank
you
you.
to everybody that's online in the chat. It matters to us, and again, indigenous communities. We can connect because we go through the same thing, right? We know what
Mhm.
that means, and we are all striving for the remembrance of our ancestors and to reignite those ways, and that's what matters to me the most. So thank you very much, everybody, for checking us out. I'm gonna go ahead and close the show out with Green Team Pain, Free My People. Again, you're listening to well, first of all, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, co-host, and
Oh,
yeah,
thank me.
yeah, you
Oh,
got to
okay.
thank you, right? I mean,
Well,
thank you
thank
very
you
much.
too.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank the audience for listening. And you're listening to Save Our Ancestors Indigenous Radio on Germantown Community Radio. Uh, we'll check you out next time.
Peace.
Peace.